out the window. What you do to me when the cold bites blue is straight cool. Oh, it has to be.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Ask a Doctor Live. My name is Nate Manahan, and I'm here in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I am joined by the two good doctors, Dr. John and Dr. Kelly. How are you, Dr. John and Dr. Kelly?
We're doing great.
Awesome. So glad to have you all here tonight. We're going to be talking about healthy products that we can use in our skin and what are good, what are bad, and how to make some of those decisions. So let's start out with let's kind of a recap from the last couple of weeks. Why is it so important to look what we put into our skin?
So skin, no jokes, is the largest organ of our body. It weighs about 6 to 10 pounds.
Yep.
Depending on your size. And because of that, the skin is a great absorber of whatever we put to it.
But it's also a great protector.
Correct. Yeah. So that's why it's so important. And we've talked about skin, what it actually does, how it functions. We've talked about toxic things that we expose our skin to all the time. We've talked about food that properly feeds our skin. And tonight we're going to talk about good things to put on our skin to nourish our skin, help it stay hydrated, help it keep protected.
So let's start with just a couple questions here. Let's talk, when we're putting things on our skin, how quickly are they absorbed into our skin, and how quickly is it starting to affect other parts of our body?
So if you Google, and I hate to use it as a verb.
You just used it as a verb.
If you search on the internet that specific...
On the World Wide Web.
Thank you, Al Gore. If you search on the internet for that specific topic, you'll often find a statement that says 6 seconds. Well, that is very, very dependent upon what it is that is
Being
put on the skin. For instance, Dr. Kelly showed a couple weeks ago that mineral oil doesn't even absorb into a cracker, which is porous, and you put a cracker in mineral oil and you can still snap it minutes later, versus you put a cracker into water and it becomes mush. So that analogy works out to the skin, that some things are absorbed very readily, literally within 6 seconds. Other things aren't absorbed at all. And when you look at how long it takes to absorb something that is absorbed, it matters how it's absorbed. I know this is getting specific, and yes, I'm the one that does that.
So let me just review. What he just said is some things get absorbed really quickly and some things don't get absorbed at all. So it depends on the size of the molecule of the thing that you're putting on your skin. Now, there are different ways it's absorbed.
And not only the size of the molecule,
yes,
but whether it's hydrophilic or hydrophobic.
Hydrophilic means it loves water. Hydrophobic means it doesn't love water. So like oil and water don't really like each other.
So there's 3 ways to get absorbed. One is directly into the cells, and that means it can affect the DNA of the cells directly on the skin. Next is between the cells into what we call the intercellular spaces, and then that can quickly go into the bloodstream much more quickly than if it goes into the cells first. The third way is that it's getting absorbed or falls into the hair follicles, and then it's absorbed. Because hair follicles are relatively small, and compared to the rest of the skin, there's relatively few, even though there are some really hairy people out there, that is the slowest way of being absorbed.
So
translated as
Right. So there are three ways it can be absorbed: into the cell, in between the cells, or into the hair follicles. And the quickest way that things are absorbed is in between the cells.
Because it'll go directly into the vascular system.
Correct. So how do you know what does that and what doesn't do that? Well, again, it depends on the size of the molecule.
And whether it's
Afraid of water or loves water. Okay. So long answer. There's lots of different ways that things can get in your skin,
you
but
call that long?
This is the important point. The important point is that there are some things that can quickly get absorbed into your skin and into the bloodstream and expose your body to potential toxins. We'll talk about those toxins in a second.
And I'm going to scratch my nose. I apologize, folks. Time to get the
Hand sanitizer.
Unfortunately, we don't have a sponsor for it, so it's blank. There's a substance that some people here will have heard from and some people will not have heard of before, called DMSO, or dimethyl sulfoxide. Dimethyl sulfoxide, if you put it on your skin, it's absorbed like that, and you will actually get the taste of it within seconds.
What is DMSO in?
It shouldn't be in much anymore. It's mainly a chemical solvent for commercial or research purposes.
So he's used it in the lab, and he's actually been able to test that, is what he's telling you. He's actually put it on his skin and then waited for the taste in his mouth. Translation. Okay.
I did not say that.
All right. So let's start with some of the basics of sunscreen. And in fact, let me do a little housekeeping real quick. First, welcome to Ask a Doctor for June 10th, 2020. It's Wednesday. It's about 8:09 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:09 Pacific Time. And those are joining us all the way. It's like Maywood, who is joining us from Portland tonight. Welcome. And we would ask that as you are here tonight, we ask that you share. Just click that little button, whether you're on YouTube or you're on Facebook or you're anywhere else that you want to share it. If you want to send your carrier pigeon down the street with the URL, you are welcome to do that. And then ask any questions you may have. They don't have to be even on the topic of skin, though we may not answer them. We'll see. But you can ask anything, and we reserve the right to change it. And then enjoy the rest of the night. And we'll start with the first question. When it comes to skin, the first thing I think we most think about is protecting our skin from sun, because that is certainly something that we hear a lot about. And it is summer, and occasionally it gets sunny in certain places, and we see sunburn. And so one of the questions I have tonight is, when it comes to choosing skin care products, what are the best ways to be able to protect our skin? And then how do we judge which ones are good and which ones aren't? And even, is it sometimes, if we can't find a good product, is it just better to not have a product versus protecting us from the sun?
So I'm going to go to a set of slides that we have tonight. If we can bring those up, that'd be awesome. And we went over this a couple weeks ago, that there are 80,000 chemicals that can be added to our food and skin products, and that our FDA bans only 11. And so that can be very discouraging. And so we went through some things a couple weeks ago that are bad. But what I'm going to provide for you tonight, quickly, very quickly, is good replacements for bad things. And we're going to post this tomorrow as a full document on MG Wellness, so that you guys can see what things can be good. So parabens are often in skin products. And here are some good replacements. Aspen bark extract, you can actually buy that. And then you can also protect your skin ingredients with dark glass bottles. They actually are antimicrobial. They keep things from rotting. And so these are good replacements for parabens. We talked about sodium lauryl sulfate, one of the most common skin additives. And this is the deal. You need to buy things. It makes suds. And what you need to buy is things that don't make suds. And I know you don't like that. And I know you think that it doesn't clean things well. But
it does.
The best laundry detergent reviews that we could find that were scientific said that 7th generation clean laundry detergent was actually the best. Now, it's not going to provide you with an awesome smell, so we're going to talk about what to do about that. Good replacements for mineral oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, grapeseed oil is actually good for skin that tends to have acne. Jojoba is similar to human oils and so tends to be good for middle of the road skin that doesn't tend to be sensitive. Sunflower oil is also good. Phthalates, you hear a lot about how phthalates are terrible, and this is something that gives you scents in things that you buy. And so a good replacement for that is non-toxic essential oils.
Did you want me to talk about that?
Sure.
So one of the things that you can do if you want good smells in your clothing is you can get very tightly woven woolen balls that you put into the dryer, not sheep's balls, woolen balls that you put into the dryer.
That was supposed to be funny.
You put 3 or 4 of them, not sheep, but woolen balls, into the dryer and put somewhere between 4 and 8 drops of the essential oil that you want your clothes to smell like on the woolen balls.
Excellent. So there's a cute little thing that you can do to replace stuff that's super toxic. Okay, so this is what I really want to focus on tonight is this slide, which is good replacements for sunscreens that have yucky stuff in them. So we talked a couple of weeks ago about how oxybenzone, avobenzone, all these different benzones are often added to toxic or what we believe are more toxic sunscreens. Are there sunscreens that can be nourishing to the skin and protective? Believe it or not, avocado oil, I know that doesn't sound right because you think avocado oil, it's oil, it's going to burn, I'm going to burn. There are some things about avocado oil that actually can make it a good skin protectant.
Well, I think scientifically it must be because it's absorbed into the skin rather than putting baby oil or mineral oil on where it sits on the surface and just heats up.
Correct. It also...
Wait, did you just say I was right?
Oh, occasionally you are. Aloe vera is also... So I don't know... Our grandmother had an aloe vera plant, and every time that we got any kind of scrape or whatever, she would just break off a piece of that aloe vera plant. She would rub that aloe vera on our skin. I have no idea if it did any good, but now I read evidence that aloe vera can actually be protective to the skin. And then when you go to the sunscreen aisle in the store, one of the things that I would encourage you to look for if you're in a rush and you need to buy something for your kids before you go to the beach, buy something that has zinc oxide or titanium oxide in it. That's the stuff that makes all those white streaks on your skin. It's very visible. Yes, people will know that you have sunscreen on. But zinc oxide and titanium oxide are much less toxic than reports that are out about oxybenzone and avobenzone. Now, we did also want to make the point that there is far more evidence about the risk of straight on heat of the day sun exposure to bare skin in causing all kinds of skin cancers. There's tons of evidence for that. There's way more evidence for cancer causing ability of direct sunlight to bare skin than there is that oxybenzone or avobenzone causes cancer.
However,
Yes, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, you and I were talking about it earlier,
Yes.
and you said it very well earlier that.
Apparently, I didn't get to finish right now. I said it earlier.
So say it now, please.
Okay. Thank you. So what we know is that the studies on oxybenzone, avobenzone, all the benzones, is that they haven't been done in human populations. They've been done in lab animals where they feed 27 pounds of oxybenzone to rats, and then they say, oh, yes, it caused cancer. So it's not that there's evidence that oxybenzone is good for you. It's not that. It's that we just don't have data in humans. Yes?
Right.
Okay. So zinc oxide, titanium oxide are really, really important things to have in sunscreen that you're buying off the shelf. If you don't have to buy it off the shelf, avocado oil, aloe vera. We talked a couple of weeks ago about how lead is in lots of lipsticks. You can get clay-based lipsticks. You can also have fruit pigments and alkanet root that actually dye things that you put on your lips. And those things actually are available online, not even joking. Okay, we talked about aluminum being yucky in deodorants that we use. There are tons now. They're sold in all kinds of stores, regular stores, natural deodorants. Some of the best ones that I saw recommended were, I am not even joking, it's called Primal Pit Paste. Not joking. Gets some of the cleanest reviews by people who are watchdogs on this kind of thing. And then one called Lil Fox Botanicals that is also very clean. So one more thing, triclosan, I don't know if this is the last one. Triclosan is found in lots of soaps, hand wash, all that kind of thing. We've talked before briefly about how using antibacterial soaps can actually be more damaging to your skin than using non-antibacterial soaps.
Right. Using soap and water or even hand sanitizer is fine, but what you don't want to use is antibacterial based products. They've shown to cause more problems, lead to more problems with MRSA, with infection, and with resistant infections. In fact, people have been arguing that triclosan should be pulled from the market.
Right. It's a corrosive. It actually breaks down your skin and creates more abrasions that allow bacteria to enter into the skin and cause infection. So non-antibacterial soaps are actually the best. Polyethylene glycols, there is no good replacement. It's what kind of plasticizes a lot of products. And this is the deal. If there's a polyethylene glycol in it, just put it back on the shelf. Just don't buy it.
For skin.
For skin.
It is
That's
used
what we're talking about.
It is used for some other things that are necessary.
Miralax.
Yes. For bowel preps.
Yes.
And
that's different.
For your...
I don't know why it's different, but it's different.
Colonoscopy.
Yes, for your colonoscopy. And then hydroquinone is something that lightens the skin, which a lot of us who are aging want to lighten our skin. This is cool, okay? I'm actually excited to use some of this stuff. Good replacements for hydroquinone. Did you know that licorice root, vitamin C, turmeric can lighten your skin? No joke.
Where's Bruce when we need him to talk about licorice root's other name?
I'm not even going to talk about it. And then avocado oil and aloe vera, again, are known to really moisturize the skin and support the elasticity of the skin, not dry it out. So that's the quick and dirty. What we want you to do is begin reading labels. We told you a few weeks ago, swap one bad product for one good product. And this is the deal. I think working at it slowly is something that's important. I've had to do this. Just do one replacement at a time. I'm actually going to try turmeric. So if I turn orange, don't worry about it. It'll be okay.
We'll make sure your liver's doing okay.
Yeah. So that's what we got on good replacements for bad products.
All right, we've got one question so far, and if we have any other questions, would please, but May just asked, let me bring that up. Is there a better brand of rash guard, and does it really work in preventing sunburn?
What's rash guard?
I don't know what you mean.
Is that a
Yeah.
brand?
See, I've always assumed, I always refer to as a rash guard as the like swimming shirts that I put on my boys when they go swimming. That is like the rash guard, like the surfers wear, though we don't surf.
Gotcha.
That
Let me
is-
look it
That
up.
is less sunscreen than others. That is the clothing, but it may be something else too.
Okay, so rash guard, a guide to rash guards. Why swimwear rash guards can be dangerous. I'm
The
going to
live
have to
looking
do
up.
some research on that.
I was going to say that,
I mean, it can cause abrasions.
but one of the issues about clothing is you want your skin to be able to breathe, and you want your clothing to be non-toxic.
Yes.
There are, for instance, that's why when you buy new clothing or get new clothing, you want to wash it because they actually put preservatives basically on your clothing.
Yes. And one of the things we know about clothing that prevents sunburn is it should be loose on the skin. It should not be tight because that does create abrasions. I want to look specifically at things that are called rash guard.
We will
But-
be posting, May.
Light clothing, loose clothing, light color, even things that have, mesh where sunlight can get through. Little bit of protection is a lot of protection for the skin. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. What else we got?
Bruce also says there's no nice cream report this week.
Why? And why, Bruce? Come on. I don't care if you're on the other side of the earth.
I was going to say, and are you guys in Portland or Amsterdam? We saw a post. Big shoes to fill.
All right. Well, we'll wait for that nice ice cream report. Maybe we'll get that momentarily. Who knows? You can always get things live. So let's talk moisturizers for a second. What are some of the things you shared that? But what are some of the things that you can do? Like, do you just go get coconut oil? Or do you look for the product of coconut oil in this and with other clean products? What's the best way to do that?
One of the interesting things, and I just learned this, I didn't realize this, is when you go into a supermarket, I won't say a grocery store, but a true supermarket that has both like a pharmacy area as well as the food portion, you will find coconut oil, the same thing, both in the baking area as well as the skin products.
And are they different?
No, it's the exact same.
That is correct.
And it all smells like you're on vacation.
That's one of the things that we were talking about just before we started the live, is that coconut oil is a great moisturizer. And smell is one of the strongest senses for memory. And so if you want to create a memory of being at the beach, coconut oil takes you right to the beach. It takes you right to the beach.
And it also takes me once again to a Zac Brown song.
You don't know if it's her or the rum. Yep. Look that one up, kids. Listen to that one. So coconut oil is a great moisturizer. Avocado oil, aloe vera. All of those three are really, really, really helpful in hydrating the skin. Now, I know that every guy that is listening to
Lime
this
in the coconut,
is
drink
saying,
it all up.
okay,
Put the
I don't
lime
ever
in the
use a moisturizer. Right here.
coconut and drink it all
Never.
up. Put the lime in
And complains about dry skin. Our boys complain about dry skin. Never ever use a moisturizer. I try. So these
will.
moisturizers are for everybody. They're not just for girls.
But I will put the lime in the coconut and drink it all up.
Anywho, coconut oil, avocado oil, aloe vera, use them. outstanding.
And it smells good.
Especially the coconut oil.
All right. Well, make sure you get your weekly health information that you've signed up at mgwellnessnewsletter.com. So you get those weekly newsletters of tips, tricks, recipes, and just a source of what the upcoming MG Wellness Lives are going to be. So you can join us live. If you're watching this afterwards, it's generally Wednesdays at 8 o'clock. And I would love to have you join us live, but certainly a lot of you are watching this afterwards, so you can always catch it on the Facebook page and on the YouTube channels. As we go back and think about this, and we're kind of wrapping up some of the things on sunscreen, one of the questions I was having, is there any difference as your skin ages, let's say from childhood to adulthood, that it changes what types of and amounts of sunscreen you should be using?
So the general recommendation from the scientific literature is that it doesn't matter really about the SPF. So people think that if they buy SPF 50, that it's better than SPF 30 and that they don't have to reapply it. That is not true. The minimum SPF recommended by scientific physicians who are looking at scientific data is SPF 30. Mayo Clinic recommends that. Harvard Health recommends that. SPF 30 is the minimum. So just because you're using SPF 50 does not mean that you have to reapply less. This is the other thing. Many people believe that if they apply an SPF 50 or even an SPF 30, that they don't ever have to reapply. What happens is if this stuff washes off, a lot of people believe it doesn't wash off, that, it's kind of like a wax. Well, if it was a wax, it would never come off your skin. It does wash off. And so what you need to do is reapply at least an SPF 30 at least every 2 hours. That is the recommendation. So, and it doesn't seem to matter age, type of skin. There is no difference given in terms of age recommendations, but make sure it's at least SPF 30 in every 2 hours.
So what you're telling me, that the SPF doesn't mean anything.
Correct.
Because it was originally supposed to mean that sun protection factor 30 meant that you could spend 30 hours versus if you had SPF 1.
Wrong. So yes, that is true.
Question, does guacamole have avocado oil in it? And is it a good schmear before hitting the beach going to work?
Only with the lime and the coconut.
Only with siete or bonito chips. Yes.
I will say that the CDC is encouraging against buffets, and so wearing the guacamole may turn into a buffet, so that would ruin the social distancing, so I would encourage against it.
Excellent point.
Thank you. Want to make sure we got that. Make sure we're all at specs. And then Bruce did post about that he wasn't able to find the nice ice cream. Here we go. Let me get that up. And hit send. And he says, you have to make your own nice cream here. No manufacturers. It is frozen bananas, maple syrup, or strawberries, right? And that was...
Ooh.
That actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah. So you got to freeze all those together, and you can't go wrong when you have maple syrup mixed with a
frozen banana. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's like a bananas Foster.
Throw in a little
Butter.
rum.
All right. Olivia asked tonight, do you know anything about Biossance skincare and sunscreen? And
well, Olivia, I'll tell you what.
We'll know in 3 seconds.
I will know, and I will post it. I'm assuming you're asking about the sunscreen, or just maybe all. But I'm going to look it up.
All right, we'll look at that. And
Yes.
as we have the comments continuing on here, May wanted to make sure you knew that was Bruce and not May talking about the schmear. So just to make sure.
I thought it was actually kind of funny that May was saying schmear.
Yeah.
I was a little nervous.
So, I mean, the thing about products is one of the things that you were making is making sure we read the labels. And there are so many products now out there. Is there any, and it's unregulated, correct? As a
Correct.
whole. So how do we know,
Minimum.
there are 1,000 products out there. How do we know which ones we can trust? Like, to trust that their label is actually what's in there.
So we talked about that previously. You want to make sure that it has something like USP or Underwriters Labs. USP is the U.S. Pharmacopoeia. Underwriter Labs, non-GMO. What?
Yes. What I was just thinking, what's so true is that in most of our stores, when we go buy things off the shelves as far as skincare products, there's little regulation, very little regulation. Out of 80,000 toxic substances, the FDA only bans 11.
And the amazing thing is that there previously, prior to the FDAC back in the early 1900s, there was no regulation and people put everything in it.
Yes.
So this is FDAC, the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. And so you think it's bad now. It used to be worse. And that's amazing because it is so poorly.
Terrible.
Yeah,
It's
only
terrible
11
now.
things are banned.
So what I did is pick out 10 really common, because if I'm going to go through all the toxic substances, that when you look at your skincare products, it looks like a chemistry experiment. And we talked about that in food, that's not cool. And so coconut oil, avocado oil, aloe vera, those are singular products. You don't have to put 72 other things in it to make it shelf worthy.
Not unless you're trying to make a buffet.
So I truly have come to believe that buying skincare products in the store is fraught with scary things. Now,
Well, because they want it to be able to be preserved
yes,
for as long as
forever.
possible.
To not rot forever.
On the shelf. They don't care if you rot.
And to make suds, because that's what we've come to believe is
All the way back to the
clean.
All the way back
right?
to the soaps.
Yes.
Soaps.
Yes.
The soap operas.
Yes. Soap operas.
That's
So
where it became popular.
I just think that we really need to work on one product at a time and replacing it with something that is truly non-toxic, like coconut oil, avocado oil, aloe vera.
And then move on to another one.
Yes. Just move one thing at a time to figure out. I think for women, makeup is just a hot mess, and it has lots of junk in it. So you've got to find non-toxic things to put on your face. So it's a hard thing, but I love it when you guys bring up certain brands because it helps us to look things up.
Well, and I think crowdsourcing some of this, because not one person can research it all. And I don't know that there are certainly companies out there that their goal is to make money and could care less about whether they do harm. Mm-hmm. But as a whole, I think there are many companies out there that are trying to do good, but they're also cutting corners to get the fastest to the market or the cheapest way to make the product. And so you have to evaluate and try to figure out that. Would you agree with this? Somebody just asked, is it the bigger brand products in skincare, I'm not going to name it because I don't even know the names, but the bigger brand companies that are the big Fortune 500 companies that are there, generally their products are just not healthy?
Yes.
So far, currently.
Yes. So I'll give an example. And it's the example that I used a couple of weeks ago on just a little video that we did on mineral oil. So Johnson & Johnson, I don't have anything against that company in particular, but J&J baby oil, it's pink and it has little light blue writing and white writing, and it looks precious and it looks pure and clean because you can see right through it, right? And it smells like just a precious baby, lovely, clean. And you would never think that you should have any concern about putting that on your baby's skin. And it's not that mineral oil itself is toxic. It's not that. But it's just that it doesn't allow any hydration into the skin. It's basically like a shellac. It's a blocker of everything good that should be going into the skin.
Yeah, there's no benefit to it.
Correct. And so it can smell good, it can look clean, it can be in the cutest little bottle with a pink cap and just really kind of clog up the pores and not let hydration in or out or whatever. So some of the big producers of skincare products that put thousands of things on every store shelf, they have a lot of toxic chemicals in there that are keeping those products from rotting so that they can sell more product. And so we, again, speak with our money by not buying those. That's what we need to do, and we need to use coconut oil, avocado oil, aloe vera. John actually made a homemade hand sanitizer out of, and that's what we're using, out of isopropyl alcohol, that's just rubbing alcohol, and straight aloe vera. Mm-hmm. And it is not eating our skin in half like you might imagine that it would.
Not at all. It's
actually much better than the stuff that you buy and squirt out of the bottle into your hand. So you can actually make your own homemade hand sanitizer.
Well, and I think Dr. Kelly, this is Bruce. He says you look marvelous.
But Bruce, thank you so much.
So we got a couple more minutes here, but we'll remind you that we can take any of your questions. You can certainly, one of the great things about conversations like this is people sharing things in places that they found it. So whether it's you're going to the farmer's market or you're going someplace to share local places that do have good products or local websites that have those good products, it's certainly helpful to be able to share and guide one another. So as we do it, share, ask, enjoy. We're here to help in any way we can. And through that, let me bring Dr. John and Dr. Kelly back up. And, well, we lost the stream for a second. Did the internet go down? Give me a second. Hello, internet.
Oh, we put the lime into coconut, and we...
Yeah, so...
Okay.
Well... Yeah, well, we're going to... I don't have the internet right now.